There I was in the thick of it, orchestrating the perfect anniversary dinner. Every dish on that table was a love letter to our years together. I'd spent days planning, turning our home into something out of a fairy tale. Friends and family toasted to our love, hanging on every word of my heartfelt speech about us, about hope. The night wrapped up with this local musician, serenading us with those tunes that were the soundtrack to our love. It was perfect, too perfect. But life has a funny way of showing you what's really underneath. Fast forward to this swanky corporate bash I had no business being at, dressed to kill. That's where Mr. Charming comes in, courtesy of a well-meaning but clueless friend. Our connection was electric, the kind of spark you read about but never really think you'll feel. We talked for hours, our lives unfolding to each other like some kind of epic novel. When we parted, it wasn't just a handshake, but a promise, a door to something forbidden yet irresistible. The affair kicked off with a frenzy. Pretending it was all for work, I slipped away to meet him, our passion hidden away in some no-name hotel, our laughter echoing down streets where nobody knew us. We made vows in those hidden moments, promises as fragile as our secret. Back at home, though, the air shifted. My husband, always the detail-oriented one, started connecting dots I'd hoped he'd never even see. Those quiet, probing questions over dinner, his eyes searching mine for something I couldn't give him. Truth. It was like living on a fault line, waiting for the quake. Then came the showdown, a quiet storm. He laid out his evidence, those credit card statements like a trail of breadcrumbs leading straight to my guilt. I tried, really tried, to weave some tale to patch the gaping holes in my story, but lies, they have a weight, you know? He suggested counseling, a lifeline I wasn't sure I wanted to grab. We were two people, worlds apart in that moment. The space between us filled with doubt and unspoken hurt. But the heart wants what it wants, my lover and I. We threw caution to the wind, our secret meetings not so secret anymore. Gifts, dinners, whispers of a future together. It was intoxicating. Until it wasn't. That gnawing guilt, the fear of getting caught, it was a shadow, always there. The final blow wasn't a surprise, not really. My husband, with his quiet determination, had sought the truth and found it, laid bare by a stranger with a camera. Those photos, they didn't just capture moments. They shattered everything. The confrontation that followed was a reckoning. His pain, my shame, our life together up in smoke. Lying awake at 3 a.m., the room's silence feels like it's screaming at me. My mind's a battlefield, heart tugging me one way, guilt and duty yanking me another. It's been nights like this, tossing and turning, wrestling with the mess I've got myself into. Love, or whatever this chaos is, it's got me thinking about leaving everything I've known. So I do what any desperate soul would. I call up my bestie, hoping she's got the magic words. But after hours of pouring my heart out, all I get is a, "It's your call, girl." Great, back to square one with a side of extra confusion. In a moment that feels like clarity, or maybe just sheer madness, I write this letter to my husband. It's raw, all my feelings spilled out on paper. A letter I never planned to send. But it feels good, you know? Like I'm finally admitting it to myself. Then I start packing a suitcase in secret, a small bag that feels like I'm packing up my entire life. The decision feels like a punch to the gut. I'm leaving. I convince myself it's love, that what I feel for this other guy is the real deal. It's a decision that lights a fuse, setting off a chain of events I'm nowhere near ready for. Meeting my lover, I'm a bundle of nerves, heart racing with hope and fear. I'm leaving him for us, I say, expecting, I don't know, fireworks. Instead, I get panic, a cold splash of reality as he admits this was never meant to be more than a fling. My world crumbles right there, all my dreams turning to dust. Then comes the bombshell from my husband. He's found out, his face a mix of hurt and anger I've never seen before. The ultimatum is brutal. End it or it's over. Standing there, shattered by my lover's rejection, I realize the depth of the hole I've dug for myself. Trying to plead my case feels like trying to hold on to water. Futile. In desperation, I reach out to my lover, hoping he'd see sense. But I'm met with a wall of silence. Blocked, ignored. My pleas for understanding are just echoes in a void. It's rejection in its coldest form, leaving me reeling, alone, with nowhere to turn. My husband's patience runs out. I come home to find my life packed up in boxes outside our house, my belongings a silent testament to the end of my marriage. It's a physical exile that mirrors the emotional one I've already been feeling. He's firm but broken, and I'm just lost. I call a friend, my voice shaking as I ask for shelter. She agrees, but the reluctance in her voice is a punch to the gut. Moving into her spare room, I'm surrounded by walls that feel like they're closing in on me, my presence an unwelcome reminder of the chaos I've caused. As the scandal breaks, whispers turn to shouts, social media to a battleground. Friends become strangers overnight, their looks a mix of pity and scorn. My world shrinks to a room in a friend's house, my once vibrant social life now just memories and what-ifs. Just when you think you've hit rock bottom, life hands you a shovel and tells you to keep digging. That's me, digging my way through the mess I've made, starting with job hunting like it's an Olympic sport. My resume's getting more action than I am, constantly tweaking it for jobs I'm overqualified for or completely clueless about. Amid the chaos, a light bulb moment. Why not turn this crisis into a launchpad for my own business? Easier said than done. But desperation breeds creativity, right? Networking events become my new hangout, swapping wine for business cards, trying to schmooze my way into opportunities. And then there's the blog, a mix of catharsis and PR spin, telling my side without spilling too much tea. Legal advice is next on my checklist. Wrongful termination has a nice ring to it, but the legal jargon's a headache I'm not ready for. Flip the script to the home front. My soon-to-be ex is lawyering up like we're in a primetime legal drama. He's collecting evidence like it's going out of style, aiming to paint me as the villain in our marital collapse. I'm scrambling for a decent lawyer, someone who doesn't charge their weight in gold but can still pack a punch in court. As for friends, they're becoming as scarce as my job prospects, taking sides in a battle I never wanted to fight. Downward spiral, more like a nosedive. Job applications are my daily dose of rejection, pushing me towards considering a career makeover. Support groups and therapy sessions fill the gaps between job hunts and legal battles, offering a glimmer of sanity. Selling off my stuff feels like I'm auctioning off bits of my life, but hey, a girl's gotta eat. Volunteering's the only thing making me feel like I'm not a total lost cause. A chance to sprinkle some good karma in the mess of my life. Then there's that first awkward encounter with my husband post-split. Picture this, a room full of people, and there I am, getting the cold shoulder as if I'm contagious. Humiliation doesn't begin to cover it. Thank God for friends who still believe in me, offering a shoulder and some much-needed encouragement. Their support becomes my lifeline, pulling me back from the edge of giving up. Enter the mysterious stranger, because apparently my life's now a spy novel. He's all cryptic warnings and hidden agendas, dangling information like a carrot I can't help but chase. The sealed envelope feels like something out of a movie, promising answers but only raising more questions. His talk of discretion and danger sends a chill down my spine, but the thrill of uncovering the truth is too tempting to ignore. So what do? Sign a non-disclosure agreement with a man whose name I don't even know, because that's the kind of decision-making prowess I'm working with. The burner phone he hands me feels like a ticking bomb, each task he assigns pulling me deeper into a world I never wanted a part of. But with each step, I'm getting closer to something, maybe not redemption, but at least a chance to fight back. The grand finale of my descent into espionage involves breaking into my former lover's company. Because at this point, why not? With a little help from my tech-savvy friend, every heroine needs one, I'm in and out like a ghost, the sensitive information in hand. I'm crafting a narrative where I'm not just the victim or the villain, but the architect of my own comeback story. There I was, heart pounding like it wanted out, all dolled up in a getup that screamed, I totally belong here, at some swanky corporate shindig. My mission? Play spy for a night. Think less James Bond, more desperate housewife with a tech-savvy twist, armed with a fake ID that wouldn't fool a toddler, and a hidden camera disguised as a designer necklace. I was ready to dive headfirst into the lion's den. The crowd was a blur of tailored suits and fake smiles, each one of them clueless about the drama they were about to star in. I flitted from group to group, throwing around small talk like confetti, all while my hidden camera was catching every shady deal and whispered secret. Hacking into that private meeting was a pièce de résistance, my fingers dancing over my phone like it was Beethoven's piano. And just for the cherry on top, I left behind a digital time bomb, an email set to deliver all this juicy info straight to my mysterious contact. Next up, the great server room heist. Picture this, me tiptoeing down a corridor straight out of a spy movie, dodging security like I'm in a game of human Frogger. The lock on the server room door didn't stand a chance against my makeshift gadgetry. Data copied, thumb drive tucked away, and me making my grand escape with an adrenaline rush that could light up Vegas. But here's where the plot thickens. Turns out my mysterious benefactor was playing me like a fiddle in his own orchestra of corporate warfare. That clandestine exchange felt straight out of a thriller, until he dropped the bombshell about his real employer. There I was, a pawn in a game I didn't even know I was playing, feeling the stings of betrayal sharper than a slap in the face. Watching the fallout was like observing a car crash in slow motion. You want to look away, but you just can't. My handiwork sent the lover's company into a tailspin, share prices tanking faster than you can say scandal. And as he stood there at that press conference, trying to salvage what was left, I couldn't help but feel a twisted mix of victory and remorse. Retaliation wasn't long coming. The lover, that charming snake, finally pieced it all together and came at me with a fury I hadn't seen coming. His threats were cloaked in civility, but the message was crystal clear. I was in the crosshairs now, and he was pulling the trigger. The threats started small, almost laughable. Anonymous emails, strange cars loitering a bit too long. But then came the package, a silent messenger of danger, leaving me chilled to the bone. My digital life turned into a battlefield overnight. Every notification a potential grenade. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for the gauntlet of shame I'd walk at that public event. Old colleagues, their eyes burning with blame, their words sharp as knives, cutting me down for all to hear. The whispers, the stares. It was a walk of shame on a scale I'd never imagined. Slinking away from that debacle, I couldn't help but wonder, was it all worth it? Every sneaky move, every lie, every moment of thrill, it all came crashing down, leaving me to pick up the pieces of a life I barely recognized. As I wandered back into the shadows, the weight of my choices hung heavy on my shoulders, a constant reminder of the price of playing a game I never truly understood. Opening my door to find a guy with a clipboard and a "sorry, just doing my job" look should have been my first clue that the day was about to nosedive. He hands me an envelope that feels like it weighs a ton. Lawsuit paperwork. My name, big and bold on the front, accusing me of espionage and theft. My heart's racing like I've run a marathon and all I've done is stand here. First call? My lawyer. What the hell does this mean? I'm pacing, paper crackling like a bonfire with every step. He's calm. Too calm. Gather anything you have, we'll refute this. But as I dig through emails and texts, a sinking feeling tells me I'm in over my head. I dial my lover next, anger giving my voice a sharp edge. Why am I being sued? His silence speaks volumes, followed by a string of excuses that might as well be static. I hang up feeling betrayed all over again. The night's a blur of legal jargon and worst-case scenarios playing in my head. Morning brings no relief. Trying to log into my bank account and getting an error message? That's panic in digital form. I'm throwing clothes into a suitcase like they're life rafts. Phone calls to friends, each one more desperate than the last. I just need somewhere to crash, a little cash to get by. It's humbling, this scramble for help. Then the credit card decline, the cherry on top of my disaster Sunday. My solution? Selling anything that isn't nailed down. It's bargaining for survival, and pride's the first casualty. The final blow? A call to a relative, voice shaky, asking for refuge. But escape isn't in the cards. A parking lot becomes my personal horror movie set, cornered by faces that might as well be masks of my lover's betrayal. Their warning is clear. Stay in line or else. They leave with my cash, and I'm left with a pounding heart and a head full of fear. Shelters become my new normal. It's a world away from the life I knew, each day blending into the next, a cycle of survival and reflection. I find solace in shared stories, the camaraderie of those with nothing left to lose. Volunteering gives me a sliver of purpose, a reminder that even at rock bottom I can still give something back. Then the call that breaks the camel's back, a friend's confession, coerced by my husband into betrayal. The hurt's a physical thing, a gut punch that says, "You're on your own." Cutting ties is my only move, a step towards reclaiming my autonomy. My last-ditch effort, a letter to my husband, words bleeding onto the page. I wait outside his fortress of solitude, heart in my throat. His rejection is cold, clinical. There's nothing left to say. It's a door slammed shut, the finality echoing long after he's gone. Court feels like a theater, and I'm the understudy thrown into the lead role without a script. My defense is passionate but falls on deaf ears. The judge's verdict a gavel to my hopes. But defeat? It's just a state of mind. I'm down, but not out. Confronting my lover one last time, I seek the closure I know deep down won't come. His words are a knife, twisting with every lie. Walking away, there's a weight lifted. I'm free from the illusion of us, ready to face whatever comes next with a strength forged in the fires of my trials. This chapter of my life, it's one I'm ready to close, a story of loss, betrayal, and survival. But most importantly, it's about finding the resilience to start anew, to rebuild from the ashes of my past. Right, so imagine this. One day you're living what you think is your happily ever after, and the next, you're slapped with the cold, hard truth that it's all just a fairy tale gone wrong. That's me, standing there, holding a piece of paper that might as well be a bomb. The court's decision, not in my favor. Losing custody felt like they'd decided I was unfit to be a mom. Me, the one who'd read every parenting book cover to cover. I wasn't going down without a fight, though. I called up every lawyer in town, but each conversation left me feeling more desperate. And the hubby? Let's just say our chats weren't exactly heart-to-hearts, more like shouting matches filled with blame and what-ifs. Trying to see my kids and getting the door slammed in my face was the cherry on top of my nightmare Sunday. That's when the darkness crept in, a deep suffocating fog of sadness I couldn't shake off. Isolation became my new best friend. Days blurred into nights, my phone turned into a brick, ignored, silent. In a fit of rage, I trashed every photo, every memento. It was like trying to erase a life that once was. But the pain? That wasn't going anywhere. I teetered on the edge, thinking maybe, just maybe, there was an easy way out. Yet something stopped me. Instead, I found myself sitting in a circle of strangers at a support group, clinging to their stories like lifelines. Just when I thought things couldn't get weirder, he shows up. Mr. Mysterious with his cryptic hints and too-good-to-be-true solutions, standing on my doorstep with a smirk, offering me a way out that reeked of trouble. Temptation gnawed at me, but something about his eyes said, "Run!" I slammed the door, buying time to wrestle with the moral maze he'd thrown me into. My gut won. I couldn't do it, couldn't dive deeper into the muck for a quick fix. I met him again, this time with a hidden recorder. "I'm not your pawn," I told him, hoping my voice sounded steadier than I felt. His threat sent chills down my spine, but I stood my ground. I was done making deals with devils. That's when life decided I needed even more excitement. Shadows tailing me, my car suddenly having a mind of its own, and my once safe haven bugged. Paranoid? Maybe. But when someone tries to run you off the road, you stop questioning your sanity. A PI confirmed my fears. It all led back to my ex-lover. Fantastic. In the midst of dodging physical and emotional bullets, I took a hard look in the mirror. It wasn't pretty. The counseling, the awkward calls to friends I'd ghosted, the realization that I'd played a starring role in my own downfall. It all hurt. But there was no magic rewind button. This was my mess to clean up. So I vanished, deleted my online life, ditched my old number, and moved to a place where nobody knew my name. My world shrunk to the size of a garden patch, and the pages of books, the only friends I could trust not to stab me in the back. Loneliness? Sure. But it beat lying awake at night wondering who'd betray me next. Job hunting was a joke. Overqualified or not enough recent experience. Take your pick. But I hustled, juggling gigs that paid in pennies and pride. Night classes became my Friday night party, each new skill a tiny victory. Just when I dared to hope I might crawl out of this hole, he found me again. Not the ex-husband this time, but the lover turned stalker. His parting gift a trail of breadcrumbs leading right to my door. Confronting him was like arguing with a brick wall, only less satisfying. He didn't budge, and I walked away knowing I'd lost more than just the argument. That's when I knew I had to disappear for real. No half measures, no looking back. I packed my life into a backpack and slipped away under the cover of darkness, bound for nowhere. New name, new hair, new me. The road ahead, uncertain. But for the first time in a long while,